Hey, good morning, Bana Money and Zhao Shang Hao. Welcome to That's Life with Evolution. I am your host, Evolution, and today I have a very special guest. I have Cory Kastle in the building. How you doing, Cory?
Hello. How's it going
Hey,
today?
great, man. Welcome to the show. For those people who don't know who Cory Kastle is, can you give us a brief description of who you are and what you do?
Sure, yeah. I'm a comedian, podcaster, professional wrestler, and actor, and based out of Philadelphia.
Man, that's a quite a lot. You're a busy man.
It's definitely not your everyday average person. You're not gonna meet somebody every day who does the things that I do. I mean,
Right,
you might meet one person who does one of those things, but you'll not meet somebody who does all of those things.
right, man. It's very unique. And you've also done a burn after playing or two.
I've done a few, yeah.
Yeah, man, that's a lot of fun. I
Yeah,
have a
they're
lot of fun with that. We've actually been on one of those episodes together.
yeah.
Um, while I'm thinking about it, it's not here yet, but on December 1st, happy birthday.
Oh, yeah, thanks, man. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Appreciate
So,
that.
yeah, man. So, right now, I'm going to go ahead and mention the sponsors, which are JG's Lounge, TGBTG, Golden Diamond Productions, and Leia's Question, who gets us going in our conversations and whatnot. Uh, Basically, what we do on That's Life with Evolution is we present a topic, and people are either on the left or the right, and we give them a little something so they can figure out what's going on in the middle. So, with that being said, today's topic is forgive, but don't forget. And we're going to get into this by Leia's question. So, Leia's question of the day is, which is more difficult to do, forgive or forget? And basically, once true forgiveness is accomplished, which is very difficult, uh, then it may become easier to forget. But depending on what the situation is kind of difficult. But we'll start here. Do you have anything on that before I get started?
Well, yeah, it's definitely difficult because depending on whatever the thing is that you're asked to forgive or forget about,
Mhm.
it ranges
Yeah,
in difficulty.
absolutely. So basically, in my research, there are basically three types of forgiveness. And the first type is exoneration, which is basically you free someone of blame or guilt and just kind of forgive them totally, usually minor stuff. You have an example of that?
Um, it's just when the word exoneration pops into my head, I just think of I had this guest on my podcast. He was a part of the Innocence Project, where
Hmm.
he was exonerated after spending 16 years in prison for a rape and murder that he did not commit.
Wow.
And
Wow.
his name is Jeffrey Deskovic.
Mm.
He's a very interesting guy, and
Mhm.
he's a New Yorker. He was a 16-year-old kid or something. He was young when cops scared him into falsifying a confession to. It was like a girl from his school was killed.
Man, that is very,
They
very
pressured
unfortunate. You
scared him
know,
into confessing to it. Yeah.
yeah, it's a shame that they feel that they just have to blame it on someone
Well, they
and
got to hit their numbers, man.
yeah, right. And in a lot of cases, unfortunately, uh, it may be the wrong one,
Right.
which you can't really reverse all that. 16 years is a long time, man.
Mhm. for sure.
And it's a lot of life missed because of that. Wow.
So those guys have a hard time forgetting, of course, and have definitely
absolutely
a hard time forgiving.
Man, I can't even imagine what that person would be dealing with and the weight that they would carry behind that, because he got it from both ends. You know what I'm saying? He got it from both ends. He got it from the legal system, and he got it from the, I guess, the penitentiary system.
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
I imagine his family all turned on him, and his friends all turned on him, thinking he was a murderer.
Right.
And then 16 years later, it comes out that he's exonerated for it, and
that's hard to come back from, even though it's exonerated. You know.
Yeah.
That's wow. That's woo. That's man. that's heavy. That's a great example, man. The second example of forgiveness is forbearance. It's basically when the offender makes a partial apology and expresses their expression of sorrow with the blame. They basically kind of somehow blame the other person for their bad behavior.
It's still gaslighting, huh?
Yeah, people like that, they're in a place in life where, I don't know, you just have to kind of keep your little distance from them.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a lack of awareness, a very a very visual lack, and very I mean, you got to be careful about the kind of people you keep in your surrounding areas, like the kind of people that you allow into your circle. And
absolutely,
you got people like that are that unaware of themselves. You want to rethink your circle.
Yeah, really, because if they're kind of putting the blame on you, well, this is why I do this, it's because you allow this or you did this, and you're really the reason why it happened. That's kind of messed up.
Yeah, man. I'm a big promoter of awareness, and not just awareness, but like accountability.
Absolutely.
I have an example. I say this all the time, but there's a game in my head. I'm thinking like a Wheel of Fortune wheel, right? But I'm calling it the wheel of accountability.
Oh,
when you spin that wheel, and it goes spinning around, the smallest sliver of it, like on Wheel of Fortune, where like that's the bankruptcy, like a little sliver. That little small sliver is the one that says your name. If you spin that wheel and it doesn't land on your name, keep spinning it till it does.
There you go.
That's definitely who you can blame the most.
Boom.
For most of the problems, the problems that you have in your life, if everyone else is a problem, the most common denominator is you and yourself.
Bang.
And your actions.
Man, you are right on target. And the third example of forgiveness is release, which is the lowest level of forgiveness. And it applies to situations in which the person who hurt you never acknowledges that they did anything wrong. So might be a couple people out there like that. So either they apologize and they kind of, it's like incomplete. It's not sincere. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, I mean, well, the thing is, man, people don't think they're the bad guys. I think everybody in every situation, like even in movies and TV shows and in wrestling matches, the bad guy always acts like they don't know they're the bad guy. They're acting like they're doing what's right to them. So I don't. It's like sometimes people. It like challenges their existence for you to tell them that they're wrong when they've already convinced themselves all the way that they're absolutely correct in what they're doing.
That is the best way to put that. They've already convinced themselves. which is really the main issue.
Right.
Not sure where people are, but they go way out of their way to not blame themselves for something that's clearly their fault.
Right. Well, I mean, it's hard to be accountable. It's hard to be sorry. It's hard for I mean, dude, most people just want to do what's easy. So, I mean, if it's easier to continue to fool yourself into believing that you were absolutely correct in your actions, sometimes you have to consider the source. If you're dealing with somebody who's gonna be always doing that kind of thing, and if you've seen their track record of them always like shirking responsibility or accountability or blame, then you just gonna have to go, well, they have to be them so I can be me. So
Right.
allow that, and you'll have to do your forgiving and forgetting. But the forgiving is more like this is a pattern. Do the little bit of the serenity prayer on that one, like accept the things I cannot change and
Right,
change
right.
the things I can, and the wisdom and the courage to
Boom.
know the difference.
Man, that's awesome. So basically, now that we got all those different types of forgiveness out the way, these are basically the causes of what happens when people don't forgive. The first one is holding a grudge. Let's see, this can impact your mental and physical health, which is really severe, kind of. People don't think about how heavy not forgiving something is, but when you think about it causing an impact on your mental and physical health, do you have anything to reply on that?
Well, yeah, definitely. I think that there's a weight. There's a weight that you're carrying. I mean, with everything that you're not like forgiving and moving past. It's a strange thing because like I think too many people like hold on to blaming their parents for how unideal their childhood was. Like,
Wow.
and I that you're carrying that weight, and that weight is gonna not only carry that weight in anger pounds, like holding on to it, but like you're gonna carry that later in regret. You're gonna carry that later in regret for the fact that you could have forgave them while they were here, and you could have had a loving, lasting relationship while you were together. You could heal those wounds while you were able to, and the fact that you didn't, there's more of that weight that you're carrying in some sort of regret. I think it's also then you're gonna then have that anger karmatically. You're gonna pass that on to your kids. You're gonna pass that on to whoever comes back around into your relationships. Like your personal relationships with people are gonna be affected by that stuff. So it's a ripple, it's a
Absolutely.
ever widening circles.
Man, you are definitely on target. You're hitting some things that I got lined up later, but that's great. It's great. It sets the stage. But you got some awesome examples, man. I love it. So listen to this. When holding on to grudges and resentment, it's like drinking poison and expecting the other person to get sick.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
When I got that information, I was like, whoever came up with that, they were once holding on to a lot of unforgiveness or something, because for them to be that accurate with that statement and that straightforward with it, they had to go through something.
Dude, Eminem came out with a new album, like a year or two ago, and he was like, some of his music were like, Screw you, stepdad. You effed my life up. I hate you. And I'm like, bro, you're like 55. Like, aren't you past that shit already? You're like you're a multi-millionaire. Like, aren't you in therapy? What are you doing, Eminem?
Apparently, he's holding on to grudges because, at some point, you have to learn how to let those things go. And if not, like you said, it's going to be that weight that you carry forever and pass it on to people around you and, maybe your kids or, whatever. But it's kind of dangerous, you know what I'm saying, to carry those emotions with you, especially for a long time, because you don't realize what type of effect they have on you and the people you come in contact with.
Yeah,
So go ahead.
I like to look at the way I'm acting sometimes and the person I'm being and break it down. Like, if I wasn't me and I'm looking at me from the outside, how would I read this? A lot of times I just like to live as if I'm being the example to me.
Yeah.
So if I'd want to be forgiven for something, I'll absolutely forgive it right away. And I mean, not to say that forgiving right away is easy, but it's definitely easier than carrying some weight that you can't change, because
Right.
a thing that happened and you're not getting it back. Like,
Exactly.
you cannot change damage that's been done. You can just work on it, and that work never ends. That work is never
Right.
done.
Right.
But I mean, you're not walking around with a big lump of something you can't do anything with.
Right.
And that's what that resentment is. That's a big it's a big clogged artery.
Wow. You got some great statements. I love it. But it's right on point with where I'm trying to go with this. So basically, the next one is, like you mentioned earlier, when you carry this weight around, your angerness and bitterness even can be introduced to new relationships and experiences. So we call that baggage. When we meet a new person and we discover, like, after the first couple of days or a week or two, they're like, wow, got kind of a lot of baggage going on. What's really happening here? Do you have any experience or any examples for that?
Do you know who Jim Jeffries is?
The name is very familiar.
He's an Australian comedian, and he has a whole bit about, and he didn't say baggage, but talking about how, like, they didn't think to put wheels on suitcases and trash cans. Like man landed on the moon before man decided to put wheels on suitcases.
Right.
It was like the first invention, wheels.
Yep.
And people were picking up trash cans and shimmying them down the driveway.
Yeah. And that's a perfect way to look at it, because this is kind of how people are carrying around their weight of unforgiveness.
Well, sometimes you're too close to the problem. You back up and you look at it, you go, you know what would be helpful on that trash can? Wheels.
Or just dump it.
Right.
So the next example here is, you can become so wrapped up in the wrong that you can't enjoy the present. You got negative feelings about everything, and you become very opinionated when that particular subject matter arises. What pops in my head on that is, you could be having a conversation with someone and it's like normal, like we're talking now,
Mhm.
and then you hit a certain subject that triggers a nerve in them, and all of a sudden they spark up to this next altitude and just start going off, and you're like, "Whoa, did I miss something? What just happened here?"
You quickly become Steve Urkel, and you ask the signature line, "Did I do that?"
Yeah, right, right. But it's basically nothing you did, but it's something that person is obviously holding on to. They got triggered, and their emotionals just their emotional level just spiked. Do you have any experience with that?
I mean, I'm sure I do. I mean,
Mhm.
it's strange because like I guess just really very surface level when you're just looking at anything, you're just
Mhm.
gonna make up your mind for what you think the situation is, and
Mhm.
it's definitely got layers. It's definitely way deeper than that.
Mhm.
So, when it comes to handling relationships with everybody, everybody has also handled relationships with everybody too. So
Mhm.
like everybody's carrying something or ready to be triggered by anything. Sometimes people walk around way too ready to be triggered by something.
Wow, they're just on edge and just ready to go.
Yeah, it's traumatized.
Mhm.
It's but it's not just the trauma by itself. It's completely untreated trauma. Like
Wow.
it is completely like something somebody's done nothing with or talked
Mhm.
to nobody about.
Mhm.
And then like later want to go, all right, uh, this is what came up for me, and I don't want to work on why. I just want to blame somebody else for it.
Man, that's that dormant volcano activity that could
Yes.
erupt at any time.
Why are you Mount St. Helensing on me?
Right. Another one here is you could become depressed and irritable, and have feelings of sadness. What is this? Emptiness, hopelessness. Um, some people go
I
that
imagine
direction. Go ahead.
confusion, lots of
Yeah,
confusion,
yeah.
because for sure there's going to be moments, and I'll constantly say this. I'm not a mental health professional. I
Hmm.
myself am in therapy, and I try to stay as open and as vulnerable about
Hmm.
anything that I've personally got going on with, especially the people in my trusted circle. You
Hmm.
know, but if anybody is ever going through anything, I always say, like, my DMs are wide open. I have no problem talking to anybody about anything that they got going on. If you're ever
Hmm.
feeling like you need some judgment-free conversation, I'm happy to be a resource. My DMs are wide open. I'm a real person. I'm going to respond to you.
Yeah, man, that's great, and I think I would hope that everybody has that open window of communication. But I guess what I'm thinking about now is I've had conversations with people who started off just like, "Hi, how you doing?" And then like a couple moments later, they're either in tears or they're enraged, and I'm like, "What is going on with you?" You know what I mean? Uh,
Mhm,
I just start listening because obviously they need to release
mhm.
all the pressure that's built up over time, and once they get it all out, then they can have a conscious conversation about something, anything to move past that. But you ever experienced that?
Well, I definitely think it's that no matter like you know, right or wrong, no matter what, people just want to be heard, and they want to
Hmm.
make sure like someone's listening to them.
Yeah.
So, uh, I think a ton of people go around having this unchecked rage or unchecked sort of like sadness that they don't know why it's there and they don't know what to do with it. Because most likely when they're talking to people, the people that they're talking to are just waiting for them to shut up so that they can say the next thing that they want to say.
Man, that's great that you said that. But keep going.
I heard a wise man once told me that the word silent and the word listen are the same words, just jumbled up. So like sometimes you gotta just shut up and you gotta listen to people, and you just need to hold space for people sometimes. And I think doing my podcast definitely helped me do that a little bit more. Would be like, all right, shut up. You're gonna get something good coming out of this person, and you guys are gonna have something you can work more, like kind of engaging. You know?
Absolutely, and that's what's happening now, actually. But podcasts can be used for great things, man. This next one is really interesting, to say the least. But a lot of things that we discussed already, it's amazing that just holding on to forgiveness, excuse me, affects all of these different things, but people don't realize it. That's why I'm trying to point all this out. But this next one here is loss of interest in pleasure in most things or all things. And it even mentions activities such as sex, hobbies, and sports. What surprised me,
I got all three of those. Nailed. I got all three of those real good.
But what was interesting, they try, in most cases, you mentioned the most important thing first. Is how I'm used to viewing things, like they list number one as the top. But if someone is so wound up in not forgiving whatever, that it affects their interest and pleasure, man, that's severe.
Yeah, I mean, talk to a professional for sure.
Yeah.
Or like seek out going to like a group therapy session, or going to like an AA meeting or anything like that, just to be able to be heard. Because maybe you're just lacking somebody holding space for you.
Yeah, but the problem is, a lot of people, like you said, they create their own view of things, and they're looking at it like they don't have an issue or a problem. So why would they go see somebody if they're looking at things in that manner? Do you have anything that you could say that would help trigger them to be like, look, even if you don't think something's wrong, just go and see, Well,
I mean, I think everyone universally should be accepting the fact that, like, they're not their most reliable narrator. So not everything you say and think is going to be the exact correct thing to say and think. So I mean, if you're carrying this weight, if you're carrying this forgiveness that you won't allow somebody to have, think about what forgiveness you might have ever wanted and never could get. I'm a big believer in, like, forgiveness isn't as much for the other person as it is for you.
Right, exactly.
It's like, think about the giving in the word forgiveness.
Yes.
You're giving that to yourself to let go of that.
And it's something that we obviously don't need, is extra stuff to carry around in this stressful life, in this stressful world, on these stressful
emotional
jobs.
debt.
Yeah, man. Oh, that was beautiful. I like that. Emotional debt. Man, that was incredible. Um, so the next one is they can lose valuable and enriching connections with others. Um, so basically, what comes to mind for me is if you have a circle that is an important circle and those people are good for your life and you have this thing that you're holding on to, this clouding everything that you're doing, it rubs off or it shows every time you show up. Those particular people will eventually be like, such and such, let's kind of put a little path between us and go this way and let them go that way. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, man. I think that goes back to awareness. Like if in every group of friends, there's always like, oh man, Johnny is so dramatic. It's a chore to have to put up with him talking about this anger that he has towards Fred. I'm just making names up.
Yeah, absolutely. I get it.
So it's like it can not just be weight on you, but it can be weight on your circle because they're so tired of hearing about it. And a lot of times, if you're in a group and you can't think of somebody else who's in your group who's the extra dramatic one, that's you. You're the dramatic one.
Yes. And what I'm thinking about as you're saying that is no matter what subject that you're talking about, when let's go with the name Johnny again, every time Johnny opens his mouth, it always goes back around to that same subject that Johnny wants to go off on.
Here we go again.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh man, that's absolutely great. But on the flip side, forgetting helps us prioritize. It helps us think better. It helps us make good decisions, and it helps us be more creative. So when we are able to forget, it's very helpful for us in so many ways. And I thought that you good over there?
Yeah, I'm great. I'm doing
good. To be helpful in prioritizing and being more creative just from forgetting about something, that lets me know that that's a lot of occupancy in your brain to where you're just clogging all the creativity that could be going on because of something that you're holding on to. What are your thoughts on that?
You just talked about the advantages of forgetting so much that and like the benefits of being able to forget things that I completely forgot what I was gonna say.
All right. Okay.
No,
so let's
sincerely, like, life's too short. Life's too short to just hold on to stuff for too long. How many times people out of your life that you wish that you could have said something different to or whatever, like holding on to crap and regretting stuff isn't really favorable.
Right.
And I think that the longer our lives go, the longer we realize that they're not as long as we thought they were.
Yeah, time travels real fast, man.
Yes. Time travel's my favorite. I love me some time travel movies. I love Rick and Morty, a multiverse, anything like time travel, a multi-universe kind of thing. Love it.
Yeah, I'm there too. I love that type of stuff. It's very interesting and always something to think about.
I'm the Rick and Morty of professional wrestling for sure.
So this is an interesting thing that I came up with. You can forgive without forgetting uh, the offenses, but you can't forget without forgiveness. Um, so basically, you can forgive someone, and you won't forget the offense, because depending on how huge the offense was, some things are just unforgettable. You know,
Mhm.
no matter what. I mean, but as long as you forgive, then you can move forward. But it doesn't work the other way around. You can forget about something, but if you haven't forgiven them for what they did, then that weight and that anger still stays with you. Uh, what do you have any examples of that, or do you have any thoughts on that?
So be careful about the standards that you hold for people. I'd say, like, I had somebody who we we would at that time have considered this person like a leader in our community, and then something happened where blah blah blah, um, affairs, and you know, his wife and kids, and had an
Mm-hmm.
affair, and all that. Things
Mm-hmm.
fell apart, and and I had to remember that love isn't conditional. There
Mm-hmm.
isn't conditions on love. So I spoke right to him, and he said, "I'm a human person. I never promised you that I was perfect." And I mean, I I I never said, I don't ever put that standard on anybody. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, everybody makes mistakes. I've made mistakes. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I and what the best thing I can do from my mistakes is learn from them, and I
Yeah.
can't learn anything if nobody wants to talk to me about them, if nobody
Mm-hmm.
wants to educate me on what moves I could have done that could have prevented those things, or um, you know, maybe if we're talking about it,
Mm-hmm.
we're preventing future stuff, like the 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 best predictors of future behaviors or past behaviors.
Right.
So if if I'm gonna go unchecked because people are just too mad to talk, or too upset, or too emotionally shut down by whatever, like, how are we as a people gonna grow?
Bang. You're right there. You're right on point, man. Um, I'm loving this. How you liking this?
Yeah, dude, this is awesome.
Sweet. Um, so now we come to reasons why people don't forgive. Um, so this is the first one. You're not honest with yourself about the real cause of your harmful situation. Um, any examples for that?
Yeah, get your ass in therapy, dog. You know, figure some stuff out about yourself, man. You gotta find out some things.
Right.
Talk to a
So,
professional.
man,
Or
uh,
or or this is another thing I say a lot too, and this could be a broken record if you
mhm,
listen to me long enough, but you need to surround yourself with better friends. You got
that's
maybe have better friends.
mhm,
You're not having people in your life who are honest enough with you. And
boom.
maybe it is that you aren't somebody who can handle people being honest with you. And if that's the case, maybe ask yourself why.
Wow, that's therapeutic. Man, that's beautiful. Yeah, I don't know why people tend to not be honest with themselves. Um, to me, that's simple to do. But I guess for some people, or even most people, at some point, they find it, I guess, easier to lie to themselves. To
Well,
me,
I mean, did you give yourself the name Evolution?
actually, I did, but it took me a long time to get to that point. I
Yeah,
had to go. I had to go through some things. I had to deal with some things. I had to see
constantly
some things.
evolving.
Yeah, absolutely.
That
And
that's the name of my podcast, Evolving.
hey, no arguments here.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, man, we need to constantly evolve and move forward and
Mhm.
leave the bad stuff behind us. But like you said, learn from it, um, and use it as a tool to build on, so we can get to the next level, or get to where we're supposed to be in life.
Yeah, man. I mean, I I I mean, I don't have any kids, and I don't want them, but but uh, I do definitely think about, like, if I was somebody who held that role,
Hmm.
I I would for sure want to make sure, um, like, I went through a lot of stuff with going, like, and forgiving my dad for, abandoning me and all that stuff, because it's like, man, like, I've made mistakes. I complete like I've been a stupid guy before, like
Hmm.
that, and then, meeting the guy in my 30s, like, as a man, meeting
Hmm.
him and being like, all right, well, like, I don't take personally a lot of that stuff anymore, because meeting him man to man as an adult man, I'm like, oh man, he's just stupid. Like, I can't take that personally.
Hmm.
Like, he's just a stupid guy. Like, he was emotionally inequipped. He was intelligently not, um, bigger picture, not a bigger
Hmm.
picture guy at all.
Right.
Very simple simple needs, simple itches, simple scratches to those itches.
You know, the generations before us, man, they came up differently, different times, different things going on. Um, really can't fault them for how they end up, because of some of the things that they go through or experience. But the good thing is, you are a better example than he was. So when you look at it like that, or at least that's the way I look at it, I try to be a better version of the generation before, and I'm
Mm,
doing all I can for my kids, the generation after me, so they can be in better shape than what I am. And so far,
mm.
so good. So
How many kids you got?
got three sons.
3
Three
sons.
sons. Yeah.
What are our ages? The age range
Oh
on.
man, I'm about to date myself now. I'm about to date myself.
That's okay,
So
that's okay. I think I might have just did that too. So it's fine. It's fine.
17, 26, and 32, man.
Wow, man.
Yeah.
You got men.
Yeah. And you know, they're great. I love them to death and beyond. But the good thing is, they give me the respect, because I've earned it, and they know that I've got their back in every scenario, and then some. And they know that I'm a definitely, do all I can to make their life better than mine, which I think I've done it already. But it's a great feeling, man. You know, especially when one of your kids come to you, or all of them at different times, say, "Hey, Dad, I see what you're doing, man. I'm proud of you. You know, and I love you. You know, that's like wind beneath the wings. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so that really, lights my fire and keeps me burning.
That's awesome.
What
Yeah.
about you, man?
I I don't have any kids, but my sister is 11 years younger than me.
Hmm.
So when I was 11, she was born. I spent my teens changing diapers and doing parental things.
Hmm.
So I didn't feel like I wanted to do that anymore. Like, I was like, oh, did it already. Don't need to do any more of it.
Right.
Uh, but the person that she turned out to be, she's 28 now. Man,
Hmm.
she's independent. She's a survivor. She's strong. She's smart. She's so intelligent, and I'm so proud all the time. And I think that is also another reason why I wouldn't want to have kids, because I love Jess so much. I wouldn't want a kid to not come out as good as her. You know?
Oh, got it, man. So you have the experience just from a different position.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great, man.
I'd like to think that like I have created almost a mentor role where like as you know, I'm a 21-year veteran in the wrestling business. So like when wrestlers come into the locker room, they see me as an example, like carrying myself with professionalism and approachability, so they can talk to me about anything they absolutely want to talk to me about, and I can help guide them through this confusing circus that we're all participating in.
Man, that's beautiful, man. I love it. Let me go to the next one here. So basically,
brought notes and stuff.
Oh yeah, I got to stay on track.
Yeah, man, I just show up.
All my research, man, all my research. So continue with reasons why people don't forgive. You have attached your current upset to bigger upsets from your past. And that's interesting as well. Do you have anything to comment on that?
Me and my brother, me and my older brother, we're super close. We always say this. We always say this thing, and it sounds insensitive, but we'll go, well, what are you, some kind of bitch or something? Your feelings too hurt? What are you, some kind of bitch? Like,
so
pack this extra lipstick for you. Here you go.
So I have an example that I'm gonna use. It's a little different than that, but when I was coming up with
that's the best example, and I'll accept nothing different. No.
Oh shoot. But I had the opportunity at one point to because of where I was, there weren't any barbershops. So I had to go to a beauty salon to get my hair done, cut at the time when I had hair. And there was a conversation going on, and I'm like sitting right in the middle of it. There's a lot of women just talking. And one woman replied, "All men are dogs." And all of a sudden, everybody looked at me. You know,
you're the only guy in the room,
right? So, and you know, whether or not I was in the hot seat, you know, whether I wanted it or not, but you know, I had my moment to explain some things, and fortunately, I didn't say the wrong thing. I just told the truth, you know. But basically, if a person feels that way, like everyone is a certain way, then apparently they're scarred and got some things to get worked out, because that's just simply not true. What are your thoughts?
Well, I would say, you know, that's a very, very broad statement said by that broad. No, but I'm saying it's super. It's definitely okay. Well, you want to say all men are dogs, right? Well, like maybe all the men you've met, maybe all the ones in your experience, all the kinds of people that you're allowing into your circle aren't ideal, because you have that mindset that all men are dogs. So you're attracting doggish men into your life. Change the standard of person that's around you.
More importantly, change the standard of person you are.
Yes.
Yeah, you know, that was beautifully said, man. So the next example here is you have mistaken forgiveness. I'm sorry, you have mistaken forgiving someone with accepting what they do. Uh, and my example on that is an abusive relationship. You know, so basically, if someone strikes you and then says they're sorry and you forgive them, and then later on it happens again, um, there's an opportunity for you to make a decision. But mistaken forgiveness for accepting what they do, that becomes a problem that just continues to build to get worse. What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, there certainly has to be set up some sort of boundaries or consequences. You
Mm-hmm.
can't just say, "Oh, I forgive you," if it's something as severe as striking or that type of abuse.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, there has to be some clear boundaries. Like, hey, you're getting forgiveness, but forgetting isn't happening, and
Mm-hmm.
the there's a fly in here. There has to be some sort of like consequences to a repeat offense. You know,
Mm,
hey, you're losing access to me completely. You're
yeah.
like you're the the love for you is unconditional, but my time is not unconditional. The
Boom.
amount of effort and the amount of time that I allow you to have in my life because my moments are so finite. my time is so precious.
Mm-hmm.
I will not waste my time. There's a song by a group that I love, and you might check these guys out. The band is called Satsang, right? Satsang, Satsang,
Okay.
Satsang, however you want to say it.
Mm-hmm.
But um, the lyric says, "I won't take the time that I've been given and waste it on the things that don't mean a thing." So if if like it's like really what does your time mean to you? What does your moments are so precious and so
Mm-hmm.
fleeting. And
Mm-hmm.
we were just talking about how short life is.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
to 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 forgive somebody and forget, that's not really ever the case. You're gonna have a little bit of a wall built up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I, at least I think so. I mean,
Yeah, I
uh,
mean, because there's an example I have. Some years back, I was dating someone, and we were having a conversation, and I was trying to de-escalate, and they were trying to escalate, and so I was walking away, and then I turned around, and the person jumped like I was going to strike them. So that right there is a perfect example of how people carry baggage, from their
mhm,
past, because maybe in the past that's what happened, but
mhm,
I'm not that way. So, I, and it was a public place. That's why I was trying to de-escalate, but it made me feel very uncomfortable because the people that were watching and paying attention,
mhm.
guess what they're thinking? What type of person I am. You know what I
That
mean?
you'd be the person who would have laid your
Right,
hand on them.
right.
Yeah.
And that's
So
totally
they
not
were
me.
jumping as a reaction from what they were used to in
Yeah,
a
a-
previous interaction with other people.
absolutely. And it made me feel very uncomfortable because I'm like, wow, I just realized what was going on, and to have people looking at me like I'm that type of person when I'm not,
Mhm,
that was very
mhm.
uncomfortable for me. Uh,
Yeah.
you got any thoughts on that?
I mean, th the I get where you're coming from. I get
Mm-hmm.
like people looking at you that way, but like, I mean, I can pretty quickly get over that because it's not really about me. It's
Mm-hmm.
not really like if they're jumping, like that's damage that they have, and like I'd want to like immediately start nurturing that and saying like
Mm-hmm.
you're safe. You're
Mm-hmm.
safe. You don't like you don't have to be afraid.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's a weird thing that I used to say in the beginning of my relationship that I'm currently in, which is an amazing one. My girlfriend's
Mm-hmm.
amazing, uh,
Mm-hmm.
but I would say like in like almost a obnoxious way, where I would say like, don't make the mistake of comparing me to any other guy that you've ever been with, because no other guy that you've ever been with has been any of the things that I am. Like everybody else sounds unevolved, sounds like they're just like I I I maybe arrogantly was saying this type of thing like, "Oh, I'm better than anything you've ever had. So don't make the mistake of comparing me to any of that." But like but like, that was probably a jerk thing to say, but like I mean, it's gonna happen because when
Mm-hmm.
go back to like the the old familiar things
Mm-hmm.
like we just said, the best predictor of future behavior is past behavior. So if
Absolutely.
all the people in your life have treated you this way, why
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't you expect me to do it? Because I'm somebody in your life now too.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so uh, I I would definitely before caring about the way people in public are looking at me like I'm the type of person who would do this, I
Mm-hmm.
would automatically instead think like I want you to know you're safe. Like I I I I can't make it about me and my embarrassment because like this embarrassment lasts for 20 seconds in front of 90 people who may never see me again
Mm-hmm.
and don't know my name, don't like uh, that part doesn't matter as much to me as the part is this is a person who's in my life that I want them to feel good. And in that moment they weren't.
Right. That's beautiful, man. And that's actually a conversation that was held later, uh, just one on one. But yeah, man, that's right on target and beautiful way to explain that. Um, so the next one is you are addicted to the benefits of having a grievance. Uh, in other words, some people like to gain attention or have people feel sorry for them because they have this, uh, I guess, presentation that they give all the time, and it's kind of like a drug.
Hmm.
They get used to it, they get addicted to it. Um, so, what do you think?
I think I want to say this in a very understanding and kind way, but sometimes people get so used to their own story that
Mm,
victimhood becomes their identity, and they're stepping outside of that victimhood is outside of a comfort zone that they don't want to step out of. Uh,
wow.
like, who are you without somebody having wronged you? Like, what
Mm,
is your identity other than being somebody who's been stepped on and oppressed and like victimized?
right.
Like, there, it is like, put that down for a second. Maybe realize you're the person who likes to cook, or you're the person who likes to paint pictures. Like,
Hmm.
so maybe there's something more interesting about you than your damage.
Right.
maybe that's something you've got to start asking yourself. Like,
Exactly.
how hard do you relate with being the person who's been wronged and done nothing about it, except maybe talked about it so much that you've included people in your life now who know that they can get away with doing that to you?
Wow, man. Have you ever been a therapist?
No, 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 but I've been in therapy multiple times. I've been in therapy since I was 12.
Hey, man. Looks like everything paid off because you are the perfect person for this episode, and I appreciate you, man. So
Thank
the next,
you.
yeah. So the next one is you think that you forgive someone, or I guess you think that by forgiving someone, you must talk to them. Me, um, I know that in some scenarios, once you forgive someone, depending on what it is, you got to part your ways and go different directions because of what was done. You know, so you don't have to talk to them. You can forgive them. Say, hey, you know what? I'm gonna put this behind me. I forgive you for what happened, but don't call me no more. We're just, I'm moving on. What are your thoughts on that?
Absolutely, man. I definitely don't think that the words "I forgive you" need to come out of your mouth as
Mm-hmm.
much as they need to be heard to you by you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you go like, forgiving somebody else is more for you. So you can go, "Okay, yeah, I forgive you because you know what? Like, there was a lesson maybe that I needed to learn about myself and how I can handle things
Mm-hmm.
that you had to teach me. You had to be the person to teach me the lesson that made me the version of me that I am at this current moment.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for that. Um, I'm gonna carry on without you. Like, thank you for that lesson. I'm gonna carry on without you. I if we love each other, if I love you, I'll love you from a distance. If you
Yes.
love me from a distance.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've had friends that I've cut out of my life where I was like, "Hey, man, like, I just I you've been very important to who I am, and I love that, and I'll never forget you. I just I can't waste all these tomorrows on yesterday."
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely. They are bad for your life,
right.
from that point on. So something occurs, you realize where they are, and 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 then you have to say, hey, I'm going a different direction. So you don't have to tell them flat out they're bad for your
Right.
life unless they deserve it. But
My one friend said something about like, but I'm gonna worry about you, and I'm like, you go ahead and do that if you want. If that's gonna make you feel better, you go ahead and do that. I'm not worried about me.
uh-huh.
Uh, I'm not worried about you. Uh, I'm gonna be fine.
Mhm.
You can continue to worry about me if you want,
Right,
but like, that's not my problem that you're worried about me.
exactly.
That's your problem that you're worried about me.
Hmm.
You go ahead and work on that on your own time.
There you go. There you go. Um, so the next one here is you feel that emotions might rise if you forgive or if you try to forgive. Uh, to me, that means the situation was really intense and it's a sore subject, uh, and or the other person, that person, and when you try to do that, they won't let go. Kind of like your example there. So, with that being said, what are your thoughts?
Um, I mean, I think I think you have to feel those emotions. If those emotions come up, you have to feel them. Like that's a part of it. I think
part
that
of the healing process.
you can't pick and choose.
Mm-hmm.
Like most of the time, what's easy sucks.
Yeah.
What's worth it is hard work, and what like you earn your shit. You know what I mean? You earn your peace.
Yeah.
And it doesn't come through easy stuff. It's all hard work.
Mm-hmm.
And only in the dictionary does only in the dictionary does success come before work. Is that how the quote goes? Only in the dictionary does success come before work. Yes.
Absolutely. Yep.
So
Everywhere else is the other way around.
You're gonna have to do that work. You're gonna have to feel those feelings.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna be hard. But a lot of things that you've done that have been hard, like, paid off in a good way for you. So, like, while it's gonna suck now, it'll get better. It'll continue to get better.
And also, that might be what you really need, is to get all that out your system so that you can move on. You know, I mean, that's a lot to carry.
You got to purge it out,
Yeah.
purge out those gross emotions, those gross motions.
Absolutely. The next one is, you feel if you forgive them, they won't forgive you back.
Who cares?
Who cares? Right. You get it off your chest, and you let them carry the weight if they don't want to forgive you back.
Right.
You know?
It ain't about them, man. I mean,
right.
It really isn't. It really isn't about them in any way. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you don't even need to let them know that you forgive them. You can forgive them without letting them know. That's fully fine too, because that forgiveness comes for you mostly. The other person, like, let them go on and live their own life, and if you know if they do what they did to you to somebody else, maybe they'll start picking up on a pattern that people have froze them out.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
Man, why do people keep freezing me out? Oh, maybe because something about me sucks. Maybe I got to work on that.
There you go.
You jump into a whole argument talking to somebody who's not going to understand what they did, and they're the narrator to themselves. They're the good guy to them. Yeah. Like, there's an old Mitch Hedberg joke where he would talk about he would say, good thing about tennis is no matter how good you get at tennis, you'll never be as good as the wall. So you just popping those tennis balls off the wall of this person who is the wall. They're good. They're better at tennis than you. They're the wall. So I started looking at that, and I'd say, like when you show up to a school or something, and you got your can of balls, you got maybe 3 or 4 balls in that can. You start trying to go back and forth with the wall, this difficult person, and then all of a sudden you just start beaming your tennis balls onto the roof of this building. You're like, yeah, it's just as productive to roof this tennis ball than it is to continue to go back and forth with somebody who's not going to understand. I might as well take the rest of my balls, because I only got 3 left in this can. I'm going to go take them and play a game with somebody who wants to participate in playing the game with me.
Boom. Man, that was great. The next one is, you need to forgive yourself first, which a lot of people don't do. That's a lot of people who may be out there, a couple of them, who aren't forgiving themselves. Yeah, I'm undershooting that big time.
It's a major part, man. I mean, it's difficult, especially when you've got this trauma from your past that's affecting your self-worth, So the negative voice that like tells you that you suck and you're the reason and all that stuff, that's gonna continue piling up because that's what you've known. That's what
Yeah.
you've known.
Yeah.
Like we're all victims to patterns, you know, like we all live in this routine where things go a certain way and then they'll continue to go that way and continue to go that way. And sometimes we got to break some cycles.
Yeah, absolutely.
One of those cycles is the way you're talking to yourself. The kindness that you want other people to think you have. If you care about like people, I want people to think I'm kind. Why don't you actually be kind? Why don't you care about how you think about yourself? Why don't you be kind to you?
It's really that simple, but people make it a lot more difficult than what it really is. Some people blame everyone else instead of blaming themselves. I'll use the example on, and I'm not talking about anybody.
Spin the accountability wheel.
Yeah, and I'm not talking about anybody specific, but I'll just use this example. You got people out there who've been married like 9, 10 times, but it's their ex's fault. Their exes are the reason, and I'm like, no, no, it's not your exes.
How many ex-spouses do they have?
Right? They're all either, get one person since then, or they're just, just single or whatever. But they don't have as many exes as that person. So exactly, good point. And that's the point that I was trying to stress. It's that person who's blaming all these other people for the marriage is not working. But yeah, people just need to own up to.
I know it's like, excuse me. I know it's like super cliche, but my mom has always been saying this very cliche thing. Anytime you point the finger, you got 3 pointing right back at you.
Yep.
She says that every day, probably.
Yep. It can't be everyone. It's just, this must be you.
Especially if you've got 3 ex-wives, you point the finger, you got 3 pointing back at you. It's all 3 of those ex-wives point. You're also the problem.
Absolutely, it takes 2, man. And then there's situations where not forgiving causes that person to keep the other person's name in their mouth, and they're always talking negative about that person, even though they're gone or doing their own thing, because they haven't let go of that. It just keeps resurfacing through their conversation, and no matter who they talk to. What are your thoughts on that?
Can you say that one more time?
Okay, so in this example here, the person is not letting go of their or not being forgiven, or not letting go of their issues or whatever, the weight. The person that they're upset at, they just keep that person's name in their mouth, and they just keep like down spiking them or giving negative vibes when they talk to people about that person. They just won't let it go. Do you have an example for that, or any ideas on that?
I mean, it's the same thing you said. It's like drinking poison, expecting somebody else to die. It's like you're clearly making this person's malfeasance, their misdeed, more powerful than it actually was. Like, so I sometimes think about this. When I was a kid, my dad would say really hurtful things to me. My dad was really abusive, and he would say and do things that were not very nice. And the second I learned this in therapy. The second those words would leave his mouth, he would never think about them again. But as soon as he'd say them to me, I'd think about it for the rest of my life. I was giving him way too much power. Like,
Boom.
I definitely had this conversation as an adult with my dad. And I talked about I quoted The Crow. Did you ever see The Crow?
A long time ago. Long time ago.
You remember when he when he crashes into the girl's mom's boyfriend's house and he like kills the boyfriend, and then he grabs the mom's arm and he like squeezes the drugs out of her veins. And he says, mother is the name for God in the lips and hearts of children. I think about that all the time, because when we're kids, our parents are our only relationship to what people are. So everything they say and do is like it came directly from God's mouth.
Boom.
So I started taking that and about the kind of interactions I have with people to try to say like, well, you know, if I say this, is this going to be a thing this person remembers forever and I don't even think about it the second after it leaves my mouth?
Wow.
So I think sometimes we have to consider that sometimes like the people who say things that really hurt us, or the people who do things that really hurt us, they've said and done these kind of things all day, and they may have hurt somebody else's feelings 100 times per day, and they didn't even think about the one they just did to you because they've already done it 100 times to a whole bunch of other people. Like I think instead of being angry, be sad for that person. That's a sad sack of shit, that person.
Absolutely. Oh man. That was a beautiful way to bring up that saying about the parents, man. Parents have a huge role. And some parents are better parents than others, but they're all parents. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I'm grateful every day. Like my mom,
absolutely.
I got so lucky. I hit the parent jackpot with my mom.
That's
like,
great, man.
For sure.
So yeah, we definitely have to, in all this, understand how communication works, even in examples like these. Have to be mindful of how we talk to each other. We have to understand that when we hold on to something, how much we hurt ourselves. And once we release that, hopefully sooner than later, you'll probably immediately feel better and notice the benefits behind getting that stuff off your chest and not holding grudges and just forgiving people, man. Do you have any final words or thoughts?
I think, man, just gonna raise our vibration, man. Like we're all, I think, and this is this is kind of a weird thing, and it sounds like I'm like some sort of atheist or something, and I'm not in any way. But I think when it comes to like believing in God, I think when it comes to what God is the unexplained and the great mystery, you know, the Tunken. But the thing is, like the God is. I had brain surgery back in 2011.
Oh wow!
And I had all these brain scans, and they were showing me the electricity that was happening in my brain in real time. And I took that and I went, I saw the videos of it, and I was like, that's God in me. God is the electricity that keeps my brain working, that keeps that blows wind through the trees and filters oxygen to us. That's God. And that's inside of us. That's a part of us. So I think like we raise our vibrations and think about how like we're so much more godlike than we know.
Exactly.
And I just want this comes back to me sounding like a hippie. I want us to all love ourselves as much as we try to love other people. Love ourselves just as much. Like,
absolutely. Because go ahead.
I think I've said in relationships, and I've ended relationships saying like, I love you, but I love me more. I love me more, and what our relationship is doing to me is taking me further away from my self-love. So feel free, anybody listening, feel free to use that line to get out of a relationship.
Especially if it's weighing you down, man. You know, we want to realize and achieve our full potential. If not the full potential, more of our potential, because we are a very valuable creature, and what we can bring to the world is phenomenal if we just focus on taking care of ourselves and taking the weight off of us and rising to the occasion. That's life.
I am in professional wrestling. I'm known as the Spark. They call me the Spark.
Okay.
That's my faction name, or my like tagline. I always say potential to me is like an unlit match, and I am the spark. It's gonna light this unlit match and you know cause destruction or whatever, or heat the place, or like cook food with, or whatever.
Right.
Like the spark of change comes in potential. It really comes in like what we're gonna do with this potential. Are we gonna always just be potential and not lived potential? Or are we gonna live to potential that we could possibly get to? But or let's not block ourselves from living the best way.
Hey man, that's great. Once again, thank you for coming to the show, ladies and gentlemen. Cory Kastle. Hopefully, you can come back and join us again, man. And I'm looking forward to being a part of your podcast as well, man. So we will wrap this up, and everybody have a good day. Hope you enjoyed it. I know we did. Take care. It's life. Go ahead. You got something else?
One quick thing I always say,
Okay.
on any recording I've ever done, I always say, if you've lasted this long, if you've consumed this entire hour and 20 some minutes of us talking, I have to tell you how grateful I am for the currency of your effort and the currency of your attention, because dude, those are huge currencies these days. Like,
absolutely.
Like we're living in like a 7-second at a clip moment. Like, oh, scroll to the next thing. So if somebody sat and listened to this whole thing, man, I appreciate your time. I know how valuable it is. I know you could be doing any other thing right now. You could be watching any other thing on YouTube. You could be watching any other thing on Netflix. You could be doing any other thing besides checking this show out. So appreciate your support and your love. If you want, go ahead and subscribe to this channel.
Absolutely.
If you check out my podcast on YouTube, it would just be at Cory Kastle, the same way it is on Instagram, the same way it is on Twitter. That's CoryKastle. And just follow up, man. My DMs are wide open. So if you have any questions about anything, we've talked about here, feel free to reach out to me.
Hey, man, I appreciate that, man. That's a good look on both ends. Once again, Cory Kastle, thank you so much. And that's life. We will catch y'all later. See ya.
Shout out.
All right. It's still rolling. It'll cut off here in a minute, but I will get with Jukebox and we will connect probably here in a little bit. What time did you want to do that?